I think I'm live here. All right. So, my name's Jason Napton, KE0EJS. Thought I'd dust off my old YouTube channel here and revamp it a little bit. I was offered the opportunity to review the Ailunce H1 made by Retevis, I believe. And I have a few initial thoughts that I'd like to share, and I figured the video might be the best for those been kind of following that I had this opportunity. Switch here, take a look at the radio itself. I'm going to hold it up into the main camera. Get it in line here. Pretty hard to tell. It's a pretty standard size radio. I'm going to switch over to a little bit better camera here. Gonna just do a pan across it. Nothing terribly exciting, I guess. Design feels great in the hand, to be honest. I have a few nitpicky kind of items about the radio itself. First of all, the knobs up here are smooth. There is no grip whatsoever. As compared to any number of other radios, including one of theirs. I'm going to grab one of my Motorola radios in comparison for the knobs. Have very large detents in them to actually get a hold of if you're wearing gloves or something, or have something on your hand. This little guy is going to have some hard time getting a hold of those. They're also the exact same shape and size. So again, no determination about which one's which, just kind of fiddling around if it's got beside you or in your pocket. Let's see. A couple other things of note. Same issue on the side buttons here. They are entirely smooth. They are also the same height, so there's no easy difference between them. I don't know. I like that design. Again, it feels nice in the hand, but I think if you were actually, just blindly grabbing for it, you might be hitting the other buttons pretty easily. Couple other things to note. The battery has a couple of feet on it because it is rather large, which is kind of a benefit, but I'm afraid those feet are going to snap off or get broke, and then the radio will not be able to stand up on its own. So those are a few of the overalls. I do like the fact they have put a USB-C port on the back for charging, as well as it has the stand or the charge port for it, or charger, I should say, is USB-C. So it's pretty much universal with anybody's phone chargers, etc. But one thing I did notice is the way the pins lock into that, it's kind of hard to get that pushed into that charger. That might just be simply the charger needing to be worn in a little bit. Overall, like I said, otherwise it has a nice feel in the hand. It fits. It's not too heavy. Asked the wife. She held it and she didn't mind it too much either. There's kind of a shot at the top. The knobs are labeled volume and for channel. It does have the emergency button and transmit light. Speaking of transmit, one thing I have noticed, and this may be, again, this could be a simple, maybe a programming error on my side, but I am having issues where there's about a 1.5 second delay from when I hit the push to talk button till when it actually transmits. So much so that DMR on my hotspot will actually, if I click and speak and unkey quick enough, it actually doesn't do anything. The hotspot sees that I connected or sent RF, it picked it up and then assumes I'm still transmitting and didn't get like a stop transmit somehow. So I have to rekey to even get it to actually stop listening. That's in analog as well, so just even keying up simplex between two radios on 146.52, it's delayed. So threw some basic programming in it. I'll zoom in a bit on the front. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer. I'm going to kill the light or change the light up here a little bit. Pretty standard display is VHF, UHF, so it can do all the ham frequencies in both. It is geared as a ham radio, but obviously there's a lot of commercial features in this. It does have analog APRS, digital APRS, has built-in GPS. You can see it blinking up top there. I have not been successfully able to get this to actually lock into any satellites, and that is sitting in my window for several hours next to another radio that has had no problems whatsoever. Matter of fact, that is this guy right there. Other things to note, you can change the background and all the color settings, the frequencies. This is a setting where it'll show channel name and the frequency that it's using. Not so you can actually turn that frequency display off, or it can do frequency only. It's kind of a feature that's kind of nice on these style radios. Nice battery display. I do not know how accurate it is. Obviously, you only have 4 bars, so I gonna guess I'm at 75%, but who knows? Lots of settings you can do on the front. I was able to initially open this up out of the box and plug in manually the repeater frequency here in about 5 minutes from power on to never seeing the radio basically, and putting in all the details and being able to key the repeater. Now, at the same time, a few things were noted at that is it was set. There was a setting that I saw in the CPS that actually said outdoor speaker mode. I had to switch that, and that actually made a very big difference because what I was hearing is it almost sounded like the microphone, or the speaker, sorry, was being overdriven in cracking and things. So I'm concerned on the longevity of that. You just heard it there a second ago. There was a little icon there. It got an APRS packet, but it didn't decode that one. I've got my other APRS radio off here, so it's not going to decode anything else. But otherwise, initial thoughts, the display is crisp, clean. I think it'd be fairly easy to use. I picked red. It's poor choice on the blue background, but just to kind of show that you can pick multiple different colors. So you can have an A band and a B band. Easy enough to go into the menu. One nitpick here on the front buttons, the up-down buttons are very close together, and my fingers are meaty enough that it is easy to hit the two or up instead of down. Had that several times. I don't know why they have switched from the side by side where one's up, one's down feature there. So obviously it has the normal features. I hate to dive too much into the rest of it because it's a fairly standard DMR radio. You can set up scans. You can set your scan lists up. You can actually scan by frequency range. So you can actually scan like the 2 meter band from 144 to 147 if you felt like it in certain increments. You can go in, you can add zones, you can do a lot of the programming from the front panel, which is kind of nice. I don't know how much tolerance I would have for doing that frequently. You know, just a quick program if you're somewhere that you're not normally at. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to skip the settings menu for right now. Obviously, here's the GPS info here. Again, I can't get it to work, so I can't give you a lot of info. The GPS radio is on. There's some mode options here. I haven't looked into the difference between these. I should have. Obviously, if I had actually a GPS lock, it would show up there. One thing that I really liked, and I'm almost interested in having this almost, be honest, I'd buy 2 or 3 of these things just for this feature alone. And maybe there's others that have it for a very simple thing. It is a GPS range set. So you can actually pin a GPS plot. So you can capture it via point, or you can program it in from a, lat long. And then you can set a range here so that if the radio, obviously this is in currently kilometers, but you can actually have it recognize incrementally how far away it is from that point. So that's kind of a nice feature. I really kind of like that idea. Of course, like I said, it does have analog APRS as well, so that is in here. So again, picks that up from that. It also has digital. One thing I was disappointed in finding, and maybe this is a firmware thing that they can do, is I cannot set APRS analog and digital at the same time. It appears to be one or the other. Again, I don't know if that really matters, but if you were traveling with a hotspot, maybe you'd want to, send your analog versus the digital. Maybe if you're, again, there's probably reasons to do one or the other, but I would like to be able to turn both on and maybe somehow other select it, or be able to beacon manually the analog and always do digital. Again, kind of a, nitpick kind of thing. Obviously, you can set your GPS manually or your location manually, not by just GPS. You can set your units and transmit delays. Again, most of the same stuff there. Let's see if I can get a little bit better contrast there. We'll adjust the light. There we go. A little bit better. And again, if you're familiar with APRS, it's pretty much got the basics there. You can set your icons, things like that. It has emergency alarm options. Has the button at the top, like I'd seen there. It also has the lone worker features and all those alarms there. It has weather settings, which I haven't conquered all of that yet. It'd be nice to be able to use that. You can go in here and turn on or off the weather alarm, and you can pick your channel list. So, in theory, I have that on, so if we get a warning later, I would hope that this thing barks at me and tells me that we have a warning. So, again, that's a nice feature in radios. I really wish all radios had that. I think that's a simple thing to put in there for those of us that have the NOAA weather radio stations available. Scrolling on, it does have an FM radio. Again, not a huge feature, but honestly a nice feature. FM broadcast is something that in emergencies you're going to probably want to be able to have and rely on. Been in a situation where that was not available and realized how much of a sore pain point, I guess, that was. So something to keep in mind. Again, nice to be able to have that, especially, here at radio station, if there's emergencies broadcast there. But without power, even they sometimes don't have enough to conquer that. Otherwise, that is the basics of that. Let me switch gears here a little bit. See if I can pull up the programming software quick. And I don't know how well that's going to show, but we'll give her a shot here. It's much fancier than I'm used to, I want to say. I don't know how else to say it. The issue I have is, and this is maybe my lack of DMR knowledge across all brands and all newer models, but they seem to change slightly the verbiage of some of these features. They move it around. Once you get familiar with one of those software packages, all of a sudden it's not the same. I'll switch to, I've got the RT3S software here, which shows punch in the contacts. This is the same format I've used since I started playing with DMR radios. Punch in your contacts, the call type, the ID, you throw it in a zone or, scan lists. It's pretty straightforward. But this other software took a little bit of getting used to. Again, they may be using that on other software, and it might not be an issue. So you have all your settings on the other software. It's a little bit different. So you got your zone and channel information right at the top of the screen. It moves down through settings and buttons and so on. And of course, you can set presets for your FM radio and pick which channel you want it to fire up on, and whether or not you want it in frequency mode or channel mode, which is just off the screen, I guess. Otherwise, It does have encryption options. I don't know that I have anything that I can test that with. I might be able to. I don't know if the RT3S maybe does. Yeah, it looks like I think the RT3S might. So might have to test that later. Excuse me. Otherwise, talk aliases, the normal stuff here. You can set more than one radio ID. You can have set D and TMF codes. Here's your APRS settings. You can set it manually, beaconing types, so you can set it for smart if you're moving. You can set your icon and your paths and all that. The digital, you can select which channel to be beaconing that. Of course, your setting for emergencies, which is your lone workers and things like that. So, again, a lot of this stuff's pretty straightforward. I don't want to dive too deep. I just kind of want to give the highlights of those. But yeah, that's. I think that's where I'm going to stop for now. I'm sure I'll have some more to add later, but I think that's it in a nutshell. Programming, reading, and writing was fairly easy. I didn't have to do jump through too many hoops. Worked out of the box. The RT3S, I had a couple of things to tweak, some settings, things like that. When I first opened that up, still much easier than what it used to be. Otherwise, like I said, overall fit and finish is nice. If the GPS worked, I'd be able to give you a better review or a better thought. Just simply the fact that that doesn't work and APRS is the thing I wanted. I'm kind of disappointed in that test. So hopefully we can get that corrected and I can get that tested. My initial thought is I'd like to buy another one of these. Do I still have that recommendation? I'm still not. I am on the fence on that right now. Do I need one? No. But again, a couple of nice features that I could see using: dual band, VHF, UHF, APRS, DMR. There's not much DMR in my neighborhood, but there is still quite a bit of coverage and around the state. So, but anyway, so with that, I am going to sign off for right now, and we'll update you more as I have a chance to play with the radio a little bit more. This is KE0EJS 73, folks.